I'm not going to move on to the next challenge from Benjamin again. And Benjamin, I'd like to hand over the torch to the next speaker, who is also Benjamin. Thank you very much. I think you're doing double shift today. Okay, the topic from ICS for this second challenge is actually on tele-oncology care support. And it's about how might we provide a tele-oncology solution with real-time patient visibility, so that overseas patients can receive the Singapore quality oncology care anywhere in the world. All right, so it's a very, very big and complex challenge. And once again, I'd like to invite Mr. Benjamin Tan, Executive Director of International Cancer Specialists, to share more about this very fascinating challenge. Benjamin, take it away again. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. I'll be sharing my screen now. Tele-oncology care support, again, is a very big idea. And again, it is very closely linked to the pandemic, and more importantly, how it has caused our own patients, and we believe patients in the region and beyond, to suffer from a really lack of the care and expertise that they are used to or they need throughout the pandemic as well. So allow me to go straight into the presentation. This is similar. I believe the pandemic has caused this issue as well. Now, in countries, in our neighboring countries, not just Indonesia, but many other countries in the region, as well as further beyond, there are thousands of cancer patients and even other patients with illnesses and diseases that are unable to access the healthcare that they need, or they will be readily accessible to them in a normal period before the pandemic. Surely in a large hospital facility, like hospitals that are dedicated for COVID patients, for example, or even in Singapore, where we have seen where due to the need to protect not just the patients, but also the family members, as well as the staff and team members in the hospitals, visitations often have to be even restricted or even removed visitation rights, and not to mention critical surgeries have to be non-critical surgeries have to be postponed as well. And in our experience, we have seen heard of many of our patients who actually postpone their treatments because of the fear of contracting COVID. One of them actually told me that, look, Ben, if I die of cancer, I die of cancer, right? But if I go to the hospital and I get COVID, I go back to my household of 10 or 20 people and they get COVID, many more might suffer. And that's unfortunately the trade-off or the sacrifices that many of them had to make throughout the pandemic. Again, borders are very fragile even now, and patients who usually come to Singapore for medical treatments, medical specialist treatment, are unable to do so easily like 2 years before. And we have used actually telehealth approaches to care for our patients as much as possible throughout the pandemic, whether is it through teleconferencing software that are secure or dedicated to telehealth. Many of them have responded to us that actually it's good for traditional consultations, or if your condition is secure enough, but or stable enough, but more often than not, they require much more care than that. And the top question on the top of our mind is really, how can we enable them to access or benefit as much as possible from the healthcare expertise that we have in Singapore while they're over there in their overseas, in their home countries overseas. So again, the key question that we have is how can we ensure that these overseas patients are able to access Singapore quality healthcare in a real-time, secure and efficient manner. For example, if my vision or my big dream is that my moonshot is really, if there's one day that our patients overseas are able to receive treatments, even on chemotherapies, together with our partners overseas, medical partners overseas, in real time. So as if they're just as well as, it's almost just as good as if they were here in Singapore with the proper care from the nurses and doctors and supporting staff. How wonderful would that be? And therefore, what we're really looking at for a solution at this point in time, at least, if there are any solutions that are able to offer real-time monitoring of the vital signs of the patients, as well as alerts for abnormalities. This is because, like in any telehealth setting or in a virtual care setting, many a time the doctors and nurses may be very busy with other things, and vital signs that may be monitored on a regular basis may not be obvious to them throughout the care, and as well as alerts if there are any abnormalities in the vital signs as well. These solutions have to be secure. Adherence to PDPA, GDPR, or HIPAA standards are definitely a need. They don't have to meet all of them, but at least one of them has to be adhered to. Two-factor authentication will be a great feature as well. And really, because we are really dealing with the most confidential and private of data that we have, which is patients' health data. And this is something that we take very seriously over in our clinic, in our practice. And we expect that to be taken seriously as well for any proposed solutions. And we are really looking for solutions that are efficient and scalable, which means intuitive UI UX features, consolidation of EHR or electronic health records. For example, there are so many health records nowadays, right? Even in Singapore, sometimes we have health records from our restructured hospitals, we have health records from our private hospitals or private clinics. And even in Singapore, in such a small space and in such a high-tech nation, we often have difficulties reconciling all our medical records for the most effective and optimal healthcare. So what more in countries as diverse and large as Indonesia or other countries as well. So proposals that will help to integrate as far as possible electronic health records in a safe and secure manner that's readily accessible to physicians and other clinical team staff on a real-time basis would be wonderful. When I talk about intuitive UI UX, unfortunately in healthcare, I've seen many innovative solutions in IT or in software development that are often very cumbersome or even intimidating for a clinical team or clinical staff or management to use. And what more in a country where we often may share different languages, different cultures, and so anything that will be intuitive, like Google, everybody around the world knows how to use Google search, right? You don't have to teach anybody how to use Google search. Similarly, something that's very streamlined, simple, easy to understand and use would be wonderful. And even looking ahead with enough traction, we are looking to scale this up where we are able to develop on top of this digital assistants that can be powered by machine learning, where I know that the data sets that we have are still limited, but similarly, machine learning capabilities are also being streamlined and simplified as well. So if you're able to develop this digital assistant where perhaps this digital assistant will be able to comment or even raise the alarm when something is amiss due to the patient's existing medical conditions, or if something is missed out, or even taking one step further to predictive analysis, that would be an additional asset as well. Again, this part will be really for the future. We're not really looking at something that will be able to do this right now. Again, for those who have just joined us, besides the prize money, all selected solutions or selected proposal will gain expertise to IMDA's resources, domain experts, as well as the facilities for prototyping. And also, just as importantly, we believe that we will be working closely with our partners to really bring this prototype to success and to market readiness, and in order for it to benefit the millions in the region and beyond. So evaluation criteria, again, to reiterate: solution fit, solution readiness, solution advantage, and the company profile. Does this proposed solution really fit the solution or proposed solution? Does it really fit to resolve the problem that we have right now? Again, we don't expect a perfect fit right now. I don't think that's realistic. But we intend to work closely with the selected party to really develop it to the perfect fit. But we have to really see, the shape, the form, the vision, the idea, the proposed solution. How could it possibly be the perfect fit to the problem statement? Solution readiness. Is it ready to go to the market and scale? Again, not now, but how ready is the team? How ready is the solution? Is it really at the idea stage? Is it really at the infancy? Or is it something that, something has already been developed or has some sort of traction to it? That's another key criteria. Is it truly innovative? I think innovation is not just about developing something or coming up with something that nobody has thought of before, but really coming up with something that is both useful, unique, and applicable, and to improve the life, to be able to improve the lives of many in the region through resolving the problem statement. And of course, cost effectiveness is no point trying to develop something that will cost an arm and a leg, especially for the markets that we're really looking at. And finally, we really want to develop a partnership with fellow entrepreneurs, innovative minds. They are qualified, experienced, but again, above all, really have the heart, to really make a change to enable healthcare access from Singapore to the world. To reiterate the deadline, 28th of January 2022, 1600 hours. And now we can have questions and answers, please, from the audience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Benjamin. Another great presentation. And we do have quite a few questions from the floor right now, but allow me to hop the microphone and maybe ask you the first one of all. I noticed that one of the conditions that the prototype must be tested in Indonesia. Is that correct?
Sorry, I just trying to draw up the questions now.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with mine. Basically, So I noticed that you said the prototype must be tested in Indonesia. So I want to ask you, how would that be arranged? Would you have a partner in Indonesia that we can actually, do the testing and all that?
We do have several healthcare partners in Indonesia.
Okay.
Again, if somebody has already, established partnerships with regards to these sorts of systems, we'll be more than happy to explore that as well.
Okay.
Again, yeah.
Okay, so you're open to different kinds of ways of testing.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Great questions on the floor coming in. Wow, I see some of the questions are very tough, so I'm going to start with the simple ones. Let's have a softball for first. Okay. Ensa is asking, what are the different kinds of vitals aside from blood pressure to be tracked remotely?
Yes. At the very beginning, blood pressure will be the key, one of the key ones, together with, if that's possible, the temperature as well as the body temperature, as the O2 oxygen concentration levels, as well as even the the heart rhythms by ECGs. This will be good to have, but the must-have at this point in time would be the blood pressure. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Benjamin. Okay, up next from Anonymous. Very good question as well. Should the app also support other languages aside from Bahasa Indonesia, I believe? Yeah.
Yes, that would be needful as well, because although English is primarily used in Singapore, obviously it's not in other countries like Indonesia. So being able to translate that, whatever proposal or whatever is in the system proposed, it will be key as well. Yeah, to accept market acceptance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So ideally a multilingual solution, as you can build it up over time as well. Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Coming up from Ensa, thank you, Ensa, for another question. And he's asking, are there any existing data to train the AI model? A smart video analytics solution that alerts local clinicians when a medicine is administered incorrectly.
Thanks, it's another great question. From my understanding and research, healthcare data sets, even though they can be huge, but in relations to data sets commonly available in image analysis or image recognition or detection, is relatively much less. So again, I want to be very careful on this because again, AI, ML in healthcare is often a very controversial topic. But if it's something that can be developed, if somebody has an innovative solution that could help make this possible in the near future, then why not? Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, next we have to discuss how shall we help Jose again with his. Jose has many questions in his very big entry in the chat group. So, Benjamin, shall we invite Jose to actually follow up with an email, because his questions are very, I believe that they're very complex and we may not be able to answer any of them by the end of today's webinar. What do you say, Benjamin? Yeah.
No problem. But I think I can kind of get where he is and what his concerns.
Yeah.
Really on how effective is with Tele-Oncology with regards to the usual standard oncology care for the screening, treatment, diagnosis of cancer. To clarify, Tele-Oncology will not, I believe that we will not replace, definitely will not replace the traditional care models with regards to medical oncology treatments or the screening or diagnosis of cancers. That has to be, I believe that is very clear to me and the rest of us in the field. But what we're looking at is not something that will replace traditional cancer care, but rather someone that will enable access to care when it's not available. So what is the next best option, so to speak? For example, many of us, I guess many of us prefer face-to-face meetings or interactions with our loved ones. But throughout the pandemic, it was not possible. So Zoom made that next best alternative possible, or Microsoft Teams or whatever we're using right now. So similarly, how can we ensure that patients will be able to have access to the care that they need when borders are closed, when facilities are closed, or when it's unavailable to them? And think of it as also that this tele-oncology care model will really help to supplement traditional care models in a way that will help to reduce cost. For example, let's say an overseas patient wants to come to Singapore for treatment, but the cost of treatment in Singapore is not just limited to the cost of the drugs or per se, but really cost of staying here, accommodation, the loss of income from having to take time off from to care for the cancer patient, etc., etc. If a patient is able to come here for the first initial cycles or the first few consultations or treatments, and be able to have it follow up again with our care partners over in Indonesia or Malaysia, that will help to save them a lot of time, energy, effort, and money as well. So think of it that way, of where it's not looking to replace traditional care models, but rather to augment it and make it accessible when it is not so easily available in times like these. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Benjamin. I love your vision. I believe this is probably this challenge, right? It's like laying the foundation for your moonshot vision, right? To actually have telemedicine, be very effective remotely, across the world, no matter where you are. So thank you very much for a great answer there. Okay, we have more burning questions for you from the floor, so I'm gonna move on as quickly as I can. From Anonymous is saying that is your evaluation of the solution okay, I think they're asking you where's the weightage, which is the more important weightage? Is it on the company background and team members or the resources? So what is the evaluation weightage? Which is the most important weightage? Yeah.
I know this could be a very cliche answer, but both are just as important, because that we believe that a solution is not just based on what is presented on paper per se, but really envisioned by and really be driven by the background, the team members, and lastly, the resources that they have. And I believe that for this current challenge, or in any partnership that we have and I have developed over the years, the resources are really the hearts and the mind of the people behind the solution. That's the key criteria. So again, I hope I'm answering your question, but just by saying that both are just as important. Yeah.
All right, that's a very diplomatic answer. I love it. Thank you, Benjamin. Okay, up next from Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for your question. Andrew is asking, on the teleconsultation, right? Is the solution focused on the clinical, post-surgical, or the post-traumatic pain detection? And he's also asking, is cognitive or emotional well-being detection areas like neuropathy and cancer pain therapy in consideration? Okay, this is totally beyond me because I'm not medically trained. So Benjamin, what do you say to Andrew? Yeah.
Okay, again, I want to say that, clarify that I'm not clinically trained myself. Okay. My expertise and training and experience is in healthcare administration. Okay. But from what I know from my clinical team is that, yeah, of course, neuropathy and cancer pain therapy is a very important factor. And we have invested in technology and resources to help reduce or minimize these, neuropathies and cancer pains as much as possible for our patients. But again, for this current challenge brief, is not is more as of secondary concern. When I mean secondary, is that it'd be wonderful to have in the future. But I know that again, for all intents and purposes, and for very practical reasons, it may not be that feasible to implement it right now. But again, who am I to put everyone in the box, right? If you have that solution readily available, why not propose it? Yeah.
Okay, so once again, ICS is open to the kinds of innovative solutions you have. So don't be trapped by conventional solutions. That's cool. Thank you very much. Okay, up next, we should clear two more questions for Benjamin before we move on. And this one is from Anonymous and says, should the solution be able to support the communication between the different parties to replace WhatsApp? What do you say to that, Benjamin? Yeah.
Yes, WhatsApp, right? Again, personally, I mean, it's often a very controversial topic in healthcare communications, at least.
Okay.
Because people always say, oh, how can you just use WhatsApp for communication? Yeah. I'd just like to share a very personal, just an anecdote from what we have done in the past is that a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, before the pandemic, I actually invested in a solution, teleconferencing and consultation solution that is really highly regarded in the United States for healthcare providers. It's safe, secure, adheres to all privacy concerns. Only problem was that my patients hated it. So because they couldn't figure out for the life of them how to use it, even though it was as easy as just opening a link. And of course, this was before the really advent of Zoom and what have you not in today's age. But what got me thinking, what really struck me was really the ease of communication was just as important, or is even more important for the patient as the rest of the other features like security or reliability even. So again, to answer your question, should the solution be able to support communication between different parties to replace WhatsApp? And I think that would be more on ensuring that it's secure or private. If it can be easily done, why not? Or when I mean easily done, if it can be easily used, again, UI, UX, by our patients especially. Because us as industry insiders, as clinical and experience, we are very used to using these sorts of equipment, software, technologies, but it may not be so for someone in Indonesia or in other neighboring countries. So again, ease of use, if it's able to be developed as such, all the more for it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Benjamin. I'll go the focus on UI and UX, right, in the evaluation as well. Thank you. Okay, one more question from Kelvin, and Kelvin is asking, would it be good to develop an automated real-time AI hardware to take on the edge vital signs? Okay.
Yes. Again, I think related to the previous questions on neuropathy and cancer pain detection and analysis. Again, it'd be wonderful to have, but if it's taking up, from my own experience in developing such solutions, is often a very resource draining and intensive endeavor. But again, if you have something there already, why not propose it? Yeah, we're more than happy to consider it. Yeah.
Okay, so once again, Benjamin ICS is willing to consider the kinds of very out-of-the-box innovative technologies you have to propose in your submission. So thank you very much. Okay, Benjamin, I have good news for you. You have cleared all the burning questions, and then we're going to invite more via email, so we can take on them later on. But thank you very much for your two presentations and for giving us, all very clear, very diplomatic answers to all the burning questions. Thank you very much. We look forward to all the exciting submissions coming in for your two challenges. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you, Benjamin. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone for your questions again and time and attention.
Yeah, one more thing I have to say, I love your performance in the video. That was really cool. So I love the video so much. I've been watching it many, many times. So thank you very much again.
I was very well coached by the team at IMDA.
Yeah, you pretty much came across like Tom Cruise, in Mission Impossible. Very well. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Thank you, Benjamin.